Suplifters. Today, wow, that was a weak clap. Suplifters. Today I want to talk about 10 things that I wish I did before I started my journey, or I mean in lifting, or things that you should do if you're just starting your journey. Number 1 or number 10, I wasn't sure whether it is the most important thing or the corniest and least important thing, but I'm gonna open up with it anyway, which is, do you actually have fun lifting? Meaning, do you like this stuff? Think about it. Are you doing this because you want to look like somebody else, or are you doing this because you like lifting weights? And if you are just doing this to look like somebody else, I will tell you to quit and go do something else, because it's not going to be sustainable, it's going to be extremely toxic, and I really think that, number one, you will never look like that person because you are not that person. So I really think that you should just drop it and go find another activity. So yeah, that was pretty cold, pretty harsh, however I firmly believe this, and the sooner you stop, the better it will be. So, moving on. Number 1, taking pics. When you start lifting, you're not gonna look good. I mean, everybody started somewhere. I did. I still believe that I don't look extremely good, although I'm making a lot of improvements. And that is why it's important to take pics. I'm not saying to take pics and put them on social media. However, one day, after 2 to 3 years, maybe those pics will actually have a lot of value. You can show people, look at this, I was this skinny, I was this fat, and now look at me, I'm awesome, I look amazing. And that is why there is a lot of value in actually seeing that stuff. Number 1, it's for you, because it also helps you remember how did you look like. Because if you don't take pics, it's gonna be really hard to actually remember how did you look like. I had a video of me jumping the rope when I was like 83 kilograms, but never lifted a weight in my life. And I don't have it anymore, and I'm extremely sad of that. However, that picture is pretty clear in my mind. I clearly remember myself jumping the rope and seeing all the fat like going up and down, and I felt disgusted with myself. However, I still think that I should have kept that video, although it was disgusting to me, because it's really something important. And I would have loved to share it with you, just to show you how many improvements I'm doing. And also, it will help you realize that this is not a sprint and this is a marathon. And you gotta be consistent for years and years to see results. But that is also the beauty of it. So take pics. Number 2, track your progress. Look at this. These are all my lifts. Everything that I do. Why is this important? Because the more you have data, the more you can see how is your rate of progression. Maybe one time you were stronger on a certain lift and you can see what were you doing. And it's really important because, again, just like the pictures, I can just go back a lot of months and I don't know, I see there. I did deadlifts with 80 kilograms, 5x5. Nice. Right now I do them with 110 kilograms. I improved by 30 kilograms, which I'm extremely happy of. Overhead press, 20 kilograms, I did 10 reps 4 times. Right now I'm doing it with 30 kilograms and I'm around the same number of reps, although they are split in a different way. And that is why it's important, because it really, again, helps you see how much you are improving. Number 3, sleep. This is the part of the recovery. However, I firmly believe that bodybuilding is firstly a sport which really encourages a healthy lifestyle. Why? Because it is not like other sports in the sense that you can just perform well and get away with it. I'm not saying that in the other sports you don't need to have a top-notch nutrition, top-notch training and so on, but there are phenoms. Look at Maradona. The dude did coke and had a bad physique for a footballer, for a soccer player. However, he was a monster, he was amazingly good. Look at John Jones. He literally did coke before his fights, he partied on Saturday and he fought on Sunday, and he did it just so that he had a coping mechanism in case he lost. Spoiler, he never lost. He's been one of the most dominant fighters ever, despite all of his controversy. So bodybuilding really encourages you to take good habits, and these good habits are having a nice sleep schedule, and the next point, which you might guess it will be nutrition. So learn to sleep. I made a video in which I talk about recovery. It is one of the Train Everyday video. If I remember which is it, I'm gonna leave it down in the description. However, I think I will also do another whole video on recovery. However, the quick tips are turn on the blue light, the blue mode. Use as much red lights as possible instead of normal lights. Stop staring at a screen if possible. That will be the best. Try to stay in a darker environment. If you have a lot of lights, your body will still think that it is day. Why? Because in our eyes there is this thing which basically catch the blue light and make your eyes produce myopsin, I think it's called, which makes you say, oh, it's day, so we don't need to go to sleep. On the other hand, your brain, once it starts to understand that it's been awake for like, let's say 14 hours, will tell your brain to start producing melatonin, which helps you go to sleep. However, if our brain thinks that it's still day, it's not going to produce melatonin. So do not watch the television. Perhaps reduce the volume of all of the stuff. Basically, do all the things that you know that you should be doing while going to sleep. Make sure that your room is cold, because it's way better to sleep with cold rather than with a lot of heat. Do not eat a huge meal before going to sleep, because while you digest, your body temperature is raising. However, when you want to go to sleep, your body wants to feel colder. I personally have my lightest meal of the day is my dinner. I just have like 150 kilograms of salmon / chicken. I just have that, nothing else. So I go to sleep with an empty stomach. That works for me. Some people I know have a lot of cravings on the night, so they might do something different. However, try to optimize it as soon as possible. And why is this important? Because number one, it will help you with recovery. It will help you handle the volume, and in general, you will feel much, much better. Avoid caffeine during the night. That is the worst. I usually take coffee before training, and that is the only caffeine, significant actually, caffeine that I ingest in the day. Later on, I try to avoid everything as much as I can. Moving on, nutrition. Again, number one, you don't need to go to a nutritionist. And this might be a hot take, but I really believe that nutrition is probably overcomplicated over the years, while in reality you might really get a lot of improvements just understanding how much calories you are ingesting. Do not obsess over it, it's not that important, but do understand how much you are eating, and basically trying to fix slightly the macronutrients. This is what I personally do. I am not a nutritionist. I simply see how many calories I am eating. Let's say that right now I'm eating 3,000 calories, which might be kind of okay. Then I take my body weight. I am 81 kilograms, and I multiply that by 2 so that I get my weight in pounds. And that will be the amount of protein that I eat, which I think it's around 176. So those calories are gone. Then I take my body weight again and I multiply it by 0.5, and that will be the amount of fat that I need to eat. Refer to the kilograms. So 81 kilograms means at least 40.5 fats by the end of the day, at the very least. And the rest will just be filled by carbohydrates, because really that is everything else. Again, you also need to kind of start learning and understanding some stuff about nutrition, and there are good channels to do that, which I left in the description of my channels that you can learn stuff about. But do not overcomplicate it, meaning that it is not that important. In general, however, I would suggest you to eat from whole foods. But do not make it unsustainable. Do not make every single meal like salmon, avocado, and rice squares and stuff like that. Still keep it decently flexible and eat stuff that you like, especially if you're bulking. Moving on. I do not want to take too much, so I'm going to kind of power through the next one. Number 5. Do not listen to fake naturals or enhanced people. When in doubt, do not follow them. Why? Because what works for them doesn't work for us. I tried following basically the diet that Coach Greg pretty much pushed on his people, which is basically a lot of low-fat stuff. Why? Because fats has a lot of calories. However, when you do not get enough fats, your body cannot produce good hormones, and I felt like poop. And also, I cut a lot of weight and I looked like a skeleton. Why? Because I had no muscles. So then I had to reverse diet slowly and surely, and I'm still doing that and slowly recovering and getting a decent metabolism. So what works for them doesn't work for us. Why? Because they simply inject the testosterone. They inject everything that they need. So as well as the training method, if you see how, for instance, how I train, how natural hypertrophy trains, how Geoffrey trains, how anything of any of the channels, Alpha Destiny, any of these guys, you will see that they all do compound movements. For instance, you look at bodybuilder, they usually just do Romanian deadlifts or deadlifts. They do not squat, they do not bench. They always use the Smith machine, they always do the hack squat. Why? Because number one, they do not need to actually use the harder exercises to build muscle because they are using steroids or SARMs. So they simply do not need to use these better exercises. Number two, they are way too strong to handle them, meaning that they get much more stronger in their muscle than what their tendons allow them to actually be. I remember a couple of months ago there was this guy, bodybuilder, which completely tore off his pec, which was Ryan Crowley. You are a natural, you should not be scared of tearing off a pec. Why? Because number one, you most likely have a better range of motion. If you do not have it, please learn to basically improve it, just like I'm doing with my hips and my ankles. Slowly improve it, but you are never gonna basically handling such a weight that your tendon is gonna completely snap off, because we basically build strength and muscle much more slowly, so tendons have time to adapt over it. So in general, do not listen to them, because what works for them usually doesn't work for us. Plus, the more we actually feed these people with views, with subs and so on, the less the lifting community on YouTube will be run by naturals. Will actually be run by enhanced people, and we do not want that. Why? Because younger people aren't as educated. They do not know better, so they just follow these guys and have no results and hop on drugs and blah 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 blah. Maybe there will be another video. I'm sorry I'm ranting so much, but I'm quite passionate about all of this stuff, so I feel like it's important to talk about that. Understand that being extremely lean does not bring a lot of progress. When you are just beginning, you're gonna be okay. When you are later on, you will understand that you need to get a little bit of weight on. If we look at all the naturals in the platform, they are not extremely lean year round. I already talked about who you can check out, but all of them bulked. All of them bulked at least one time. Of course, I'm not saying to do a dirty bulk and eat whatever you find over the table and just stuff your face off. However, do realize that perhaps you're gonna lose your abs. Why? Because if you are in a lower body fat composition, your body is saying, well, perhaps we are not in the best position to hold muscle since we are quote-unquote starving. So get ready to actually gain some weight. Eventually. I am not the best dude to talk about that because I've never properly bulked. Right now I'm keeping a higher body fat percentage just because I don't really feel like doing a cut and there is no reason for me to do so. So I'm keeping this weight and basically building muscle. Why can I do it? Because I am in the 20% to maybe even 22% body fat percentage. So my body is like, okay, we're doing it and we're feeling amazing. We have a lot of weight, like we have a lot of food, we're eating, we're fine, we're exercising, so we can build muscle because there is a lot of energy in the body. We have no problem with building muscle. Do not fall for all of that, yeah, but what if you bulk, you're gonna lose all of your gains. Yeah, of course, if you're gonna do a crash diet and cut 1000 calories in a day, but that is just stupid programming by you, so it will be your fault. You should probably take a lot of months to actually lose the weight slowly and steadily. 1, for a question of metabolism, 2, for a question of just keeping it consistent and easier, and 3, in order to preserve as much muscle as possible. 7, training your whole body, and I'm also guilty of this, because as you know, I do not like training my abs, I am not training my calves. However, I really think that just a set of 3, maybe 4 a week is gonna do a lot in the long run. Think about it. As I said, it's all about tonnage. So if you're accumulating tonnage slowly over time, although it will not be as good as the rest of your body, at least you're not gonna end up so behind. And this is especially true for guys and legs, because for some reason a lot of my male friends do not like training legs because they say that they look too bulky. In my opinion, big legs look amazing. And the whole problem later on will be that some people actually already have big legs by definition. However, people who have medium-sized leg, like mine, If I kept getting bigger on my upper body and these legs will keep looking like this, I will look disproportionate. I will look extremely big up, however I will basically have chicken legs, although I do not have chicken legs. Meaning that the illusion of the body will look like I have small legs when in reality I have normal sized legs. So there must be some kind of proportion. So if you can, try to train your whole body, at least dedicate a set each week. Number 8, do not skip sessions. If you have to skip a session, just do your main compound movement of the day. You will spend 1 hour, maybe 1 hour and 15 minutes. And that will be very good, as I already said in a lot of videos. If you go into your leg day and you do your squat and your RDLs, you already did 70% of the work. So what is better, to do 70% of the work or do nothing? There is a huge difference between 70% and 0. Again, if you're gonna have a pull day, do your deadlifts and maybe a set of pull-ups or your weighted chin-ups, whatever you use. Do the first 2 movements of the day, which in theory should be the most important ones. Do not skip it, however, because that is lost tonnage. Some people might say, yeah, sure, but if you just train for, I don't know, 30 minutes, which might be the time that you need to complete a set of bench press, that is not enough to actually drive hypertrophy, and I might agree with you, I'm not sure. I still think that it actually matters. What actually does, though, for sure, is actually get you stronger, because the more you practice the weight, the more you get comfortable with it, the more reps you slowly start piling up, the more important it is. The more you're gonna progress. So I'm gonna have a video about my bench press progress. Maybe it's just out, I don't really know how am I gonna upload all of this stuff, in which you will see how slow my progression at the beginning was when I wasn't as, when I was benching exactly right, because I had to do it close grip for some reasons and yada yada. And you will see how much I am actually progressing later on with my bench press. And you will also see that how much one session can make of a difference. One session for me kinda meant 1 more rep, okay? So understand that if I needed 10 sessions to basically jump up in weight, if I skip one of these, I would need 11, because I lost the session, so I need to lose that day, and I will need another day, so I will need 11 days. However, if I just went in that day and just did my bench press would have needed these 10 days instead of 11, since we lost one and then to add another one later on. So it's important because it will allow you to simply keep moving forward with your compound movements, which are the most important part of your training. Then learn how to optimize time, which is pretty simple. Basically try to use drop sets if you are short of your time, or as I just said, just do your compound movement of the day and that will be much better than doing nothing. And at the end of it, I think we're done. Have fun lifting. So that is it for this video. See you guys in the next one.